Welcome back to the Andromeda Instinct on YouTube. Today I'm going to demonstrate the Hario TCA-3 Syphon coffee maker. I got this coffee maker about 11 years ago at a Silicon Valley Goodwill for $8. Finally got around to using it this month, August of 2023. It's a very unique device. It uses steam and vacuum pressure to brew coffee, and it uses fire, which who doesn't love fire? This kit came with the alcohol burner, with extra wicks, extra filters for the spring-loaded filter assembly, and of course the entire brewing assembly. I decided early on not to do the alcohol lamp, so I got this butane burner on Amazon for about $40. Yes, 5 times as much as the rest of the coffee maker cost. But it seemed like a better idea at the time, and I have found it to be very easy to use. Here we're going to go through a relatively poorly executed brew, just to show that sometimes every brew isn't going to be perfect. It's not going to be television worthy. But I'm going to show you anyway because I have fun making coffee in this device. We're going to put the metal filter with a cloth filter tied onto it into the top part of the brewer and lock that spring in place. That will make sure that the water vapor can go up through the filter and then the coffee comes back down through without the grounds. I'm going to move that out of the way and get set up to use the butane burner. We're starting with 360 milliliters or 360 grams of freshly boiled filtered water. It's probably lost about 20 degrees of temperature, but we're going to put it on a torch and boil it again, so that's not a big loss. We've also ground and prepared 36 grams of Peets Zenith Summer Blend. It's way too fine, and you're going to see some of the reasons or some of the outcome of that mistake of mine as we go forward. But here we're going to start the fire. That burst was just a quick burning off of the butane that came out of the assembly before I started the flame. Now it's burning in there, and it'll bring the water up to a boil in the next minute. We're setting the top part of the brewer into the flask. We're not going to lock it in place yet, but we'll do that very shortly. The one thing that this kit did not come with was the scoop and stirrer that would normally be in the box. So I'm using a wooden spoon from some mushroom coffee I have. So now we're starting to see the water come back to a boil. We'll settle that top part of the brewer in place so that we can get the suction, we can get the vacuum, and you can start to see some of the water vapor coming up through the filter and condensing again into water. There are mixed opinions on whether you should put the coffee in first and let the water come up through it, or add the coffee afterward. I've done it both ways. I haven't really found a huge difference, but I'm going to keep practicing a bit. And now as we see that water vapor coming up and turning back into water in the top, I'm going to take the pre-ground coffee from a few minutes before the video and put it into the top and stir it up with that wooden spoon. Since most of the boiling has finished, there's always some water left in the bottom, but not a whole lot. We're going to turn the flame down a bit and disturb the coffee grounds a bit more than they probably need to be. And I'll disturb them some more in a little bit. but we want to make sure that all of the coffee is doused in the freshly boiled water. And one of the signs that the coffee is way too finely ground is that when we turn off the flame, normally the coffee would come back down through the filter a lot faster than it does. And it's a beautiful sight when it happens, and I was a little bit sad when it didn't happen as quickly as in my previous brews. But part of any coffee process is dialing in your water proportion to coffee or coffee proportion to water, the style of coffee that you want to make, and the fineness or coarseness of the grinds. So here we'll turn off the fire, we'll move it out of the way in a moment, and at this point you see the coffee settling in the top, but it's not coming back down to the bottom yet. And that's okay. Let's get the burner out of the way, disturb the grounds a little bit more. And here we go. The coffee is filtering through that metal and cloth filter assembly. And the drawdown, or the time it takes for the coffee to go into the serving area, is a lot slower than in my previous tests. So you definitely want a more coarsely ground coffee for this particular device. But despite that little error that keeps showing up as I went through the process, it still brings out good flavors in the coffee, and it's a very drinkable coffee beverage. Now, one thing to remember, and it may seem obvious, but you might forget when you go to take that top assembly off, is that boiling water in single layer glass makes the glass very hot. And for that reason, I ended up having to go off camera to actually remove the top and prepare the bottom for serving. You can actually serve the coffee from the bottom flask in the handle. It feels a little bit weird at first, but it works pretty well. And here, now that that vacuum-packed coffee in the top is pretty much all coffee and almost no liquid, I tried to take it off. It was a little bit stuck. So, a few minutes later at least, I was able to remove the top and have the bottom ready to pour into this nice Henkel's double wall glass that I found at a different Silicon Valley thrift shop recently. You can see it's a little bit dark, a little bit dense. You're not going to see through this coffee like you might with a coarser grind. But it came out pretty well, and I'm happy with it. If I get bored or if I make some more space for the videos, I will make another video with a better coarse ground coffee. But for now, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll like this video and subscribe to see the next one that comes out soon.